friends? It's Ash here again, making another vid. Um, Wanted to talk briefly about politics, how I see things playing out. Yeah, just this craziness that's going on. I just can't figure the Democrats out what they're doing. It's obvious that Biden is not the all there. He's exhausted. He can't do a press conference with open press. Like he has to have certain people that he's calling on, right? And that's a true sign of someone that is not compass mentis, because if you see how Trump does a press conference, he stays there a while. He answers all the questions from people that he doesn't like, from hostile reporters. I mean, and if Biden can't do the same, then how are you going to be? I mean, I just don't understand. How are you going to deal with world leaders and you can't even show that you can think off the cuff, speak off the cuff, have a full knowledge and ideas about what's going on in the world, and be educated on multiple subjects. He doesn't seem to have any of that. And his people are obviously shielding him from doing any open press conference. And he's using a teleprompter. I mean, I've seen the teleprompter photos of it. It's on Gateway Pundit, so go look it up. I mean, he's being coached through the whole thing, and part of this COVID thing to me was that he's stuck in his basement now, right? He doesn't have to come out. But when you look at the rallies that Trump's doing, there's huge amounts of people. There's lines for miles. And you got Biden with like 18 people in circles and shit sitting in a fucking gymnasium. I mean, isn't it obvious what's going on here? If you're supporting Biden at this point, you're in the minority. The majority is woke up, as far as I could tell, and they know the story now. And you can't go back to sleep once you wake up. You're awake. You're outside the matrix. You can't go back. So that's where we are. So I'm not sure what the Democrats are doing. They're going to probably try to swap out Biden, I guess. Good luck. I don't know who you're going to run. Who you going to run? Michelle Obama? She's going to be indicted on crimes at some point, I think. See, that's yet to come. We don't know what's going on. There's a lot of people walking around that I don't think are the real people either. Uh, some of these people, all of a sudden you see them and they don't look the same no more. They got different ears. They got their fucking features don't match up. They look different. And I'm starting to be able to see these people. So I can see through the hologram sometimes. I mean, look at Dick Gephardt. Look at some of these people's face. They look like a fucking lizard. It's not that obvious. It's not that hard to see it. It's right there. These people don't look human to me, some of them. Sorry to say it. But so we'll see who's who, I guess, at some point. Uh, you know, I think there's a lot of people going to be in for a big shock because you're being run by aliens, dude. We all are. And we have been your whole fucking life, and nobody realizes it, or a small portion of the population does. We got a problem. We got some fucking bad people over us here, man, and they subjugated us for thousands and thousands of years. All right? And people are just starting to wake up to the fact that that's what's going down. So you're worried about Trump. uh, you got bigger problems to worry about than Trump. He's the only thing that's standing between you and those people, okay? And the end of their plans for us. So that's what I think. That's all the research that I've done has led me to that conclusion. So I don't know what you've been looking at. You can watch the mainstream news and you'll think the world's coming to an end, right? You'll think it's all over. But the reality in my mind was that if Hillary had won, it was all over. Because when you go back and you look, you realize that Hillary laid down to Obama because she knew she was going to get 8 years after Obama. And that's the real of it. And so they had a 16-year plan, and the plan was to destroy the United States. Go look up the 16-year plan to destroy America. And it lists out everything that they were doing, the steps that Obama took, right? Moving the economic base out of the country, destroying the manufacturing base that is this backbone of America and what makes us most powerful, shipping that to China, losing jobs. And remember, he told you that's never coming back. You'll never get those jobs. Well, what? Well, he was wrong because we brought them back, right? So what are we doing? What are we talking about? Everything Obama talked about was a lie and wrong. So that's the research I've done. And on top of that, I'm not sure if he was ever an American citizen to begin with. I think his papers are all fake. He never produced a paper birth certificate, full long form. You gotta have a long form original birth certificate. Not something on a screen that later was shown to be doctored. Where's the long form original paper birth certificate? And then look into his brother, right? His brother put his birth certificate out and it said he wasn't from here. So I guess we'll still see, right? Maybe one day we'll know all the truth, but I'm pretty sure from the research I've done, I'm not sure that Obama was ever a real American citizen. He should have actually never been president as far as I checked. So that's that. We'll see how that all plays out. I think a lot of information will come out on that. But going forward, the bigger issue is like the aliens. I mean, we're beating around the bush of the wrong topic. So we'll see how that goes. But going forward with the Supreme Court pick, it's a big deal because the information I had read was that Ginsburg had died way before, maybe a year earlier or something. I don't know. And they were either using a body double or, and if you look back, there was ads they found that was looking for a body double for Ginsburg. And I noticed that the new woman, when she came out, wasn't stooped forward with the hunchback, right? Ginsburg had a severe hunchback. She stepped forward. The woman that came out after that was walking upright. That's when I knew something was wrong. Because you can't reverse a hunchback. It just don't work like that. That takes years to develop a hunchback from walking wrong. You don't just all of a sudden start walking upright again. I don't care what adjustment you made, you couldn't do it. I had back problems. I know a little bit about back. And I don't think that was her. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happened. Was Ginsburg actually passed a while back and we weren't told? And somehow they managed to postpone this whole thing until now. I think she actually passed away on Rosh Hashanah, which is, that might have been Trump pushing the envelope saying, hey, this is over now. Israel is being saved for last. They are in the lockdown right now for 3 weeks. The rumors I heard was that that's not about COVID. That's to clean out the worst parts of Israel, just like every other country. Get rid of the deep state that's in there. Those Mossad people, whoever was bad seeds in Israeli government, get rid of them. And there's a lot of tunnels under Israel as well. So they got to go on down in there and clear that. Because it's never been properly cleared, and I don't know how deep those go. Some of those are ancient tunnels as well, so you don't know how deep it is. And that's really what all the lockdowns, I think, are about. It's not about COVID. It's about clearing out those dumps and clearing out areas and people that they need to clear out, and they don't want people out on the streets so they can't do a false flag event again. So that's what I'm hearing. I don't know if that's true, but we'll see. What else did I hear? Yeah, just that, I heard also about with the voting that, I mean, if you look back, the post office filed a patent, I think a year and a half or close to 2 years ago, for a quantum voting system. I saw that article a while back, and there was no fanfare about it. But that caught my interest because new voting system, that's a good idea, since ours has been compromised our whole life. And it's, the GEM system's compromised, the whole thing is. All you got to do is look into it. People already did, and they know that the GEM system can be hacked into. Figures can be changed. Just go look it up. It's all out there. The evidence that it can be hacked easily and manipulated is all out there. It's been out there since Gore versus Bush. So, for the last 20 years, we've known that the system is compromised, and it's been compromised well before that. So if there is a quantum voting system that's unhackable, that each person has its own unique, when you vote, it creates its own unique signature that can't be hacked or reproduced. It's a unique signature for the moment that you produce that vote. And so if you tried to vote twice, it wouldn't work, and you could only vote one time. And it's AI is constantly monitoring it for any kind of illegalities. So that's how the quantum system is going to work too, with the financial system. AI is going to run the whole thing. You'll transfer your money, it'll be there in like 5 seconds, not 2 days or a day later, like with Swift. Swift is gone. Getting rid of Swift. It's a compromised system, and going to the quantum system will be 24-hour banking. You'll have your own unique account. Probably no charges to transfer money and stuff like that. Maybe a small amount, but I don't know. Much faster and unhackable. Completely safe. Virtual public network systems, all kinds of stuff built into it that's unhackable. So we'll actually have a true financial system that's fair, backed by gold, silver, platinum, precious metals. We'll go back to a U.S. note. We'll start making our own money again that we should have been doing all along, instead of allowing the Fed to deal with our money. Go back into the Treasury and have it deal with there, which is what Constitution mandated, I believe. And so everything will become stable. All these currencies that have been manipulated for decades upon decades will come back into a more fair balance with the dollar, and all the currencies will be balanced. So that's what I'm hearing. We'll see. And apparently NESARA, once everyone's compliant, maybe we'll get the money this time. Because 20 years ago you were supposed to get it, and they didn't want you to get it, so they stole it from you. They took the towers down to cover up multiple crimes. Just wanted to mention a quick thing about the towers too, that I don't know if a lot of people realize. The towers, like other buildings, were built using sorry, I'm trying to think about what that material was that they ended up having to take out of building. Asbestos. There's asbestos in the towers, and later on, after the towers were completed, the New York laws changed, and buildings that had large amounts of asbestos like that had to remove it. Now at that time, I think it was like maybe the late 70s, and the towers was not fully leased, okay, and it wasn't at that time sure that it was going to be a success at all, right? Because if you can't fully lease the building now, then you're going to lose. And so it became an issue, because they either would have to remove all the asbestos themselves, which would be a huge amount of money. And I'm not sure when that rule changed. It was maybe the 80s or the 90s. I don't know. But they never took the asbestos out, as far as I could tell. And I know that the rule changed, the law about asbestos, because other buildings had to do it. And so they just took the towers down to do that too. So it was like the towers coming down served many purposes. It wasn't just like for one reason. It wasn't just to stop NESARA. It was to dispose of records that were in that building pertaining to George W. Bush Sr., who was being deeply investigated by, I believe, the FBI and others. And a lot of those records were being kept in the Trade Center on paper back then. And those needed to be destroyed. So records needed to be destroyed. The banking computer in the basements or in the building needed to be destroyed, so NESARA wouldn't go through. A fear event needed to be done so that we could implement the going into Iraq, as well as the Patriot Act. And so it served many purposes, bringing the towers down. But that was another reason, because it would have cost a fortune to remove all the asbestos out of there. And so it was just easier for them to take it down. So that's that with 9/11. There was multiple reasons why they wanted that to come down, and now we know the building was initiated with demo. Uh, the beams were cut using thermite, which is a military grade weapon that can melt steel. Uh, it can burn underwater, which was why, last point, which was why 2 or 3 months after the towers fell, that the smoldering rubble was smoldering because the thermite was still burning some of it down there and catching stuff. And that's why it made a toxic soup. So go look into it if you're not sure. That's what I know from my research on 9/11. Building was initiated with demo. Thermite was used to cut certain beams, support beams, and later nanothermite was found in steel that was tested by independent sources, and that's fact. So, where are we going now? I don't know. We're in a deep trouble. I mean, it's obvious if you can't see what's going on by now, then you must be blind. Trump is at the end stage now of, if you followed any of the Q board and you've been keeping up on that, Q always said that Israel will be saved for last, and we're at Israel now. So everyone else has been dealt with, and they've either signed on to Nassar or they didn't. And almost everybody did, because why wouldn't you? I mean, yeah, my country's been totally destroyed by your country, the U.S. maybe, and economically, in other ways. Yeah, I could use some cash, right? So, most of the countries are going to sign on to it because it's a good deal for the world. It's a good deal for humanity. It's putting things right that if, people's birthrights have been stolen, people's lands have been taken from them, some places, we need to make that right again. Not just with the American Indian tribes, but with certain people in this country whose lands were taken by force from them. Because back in the day, I mean, hey, I show up with a bunch of guys and I got guns and you don't, I'll take what you have. I'll take the DTL land too, and then kill you, and now I own this land now. That's what happened out in the West a whole lot, especially if you had land that had oil on it or gold or something like that. So you got a lot of people got screwed. Got a lot of people's families got everything taken from them because somebody else had more money and power and they got away with it. So that's where we fucking are. And Trump's the only thing that I can see standing between us and people like Hillary, who wanted to put you in a fucking FEMA camp if you disagreed with their, they had people marked off for termination. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. And I've seen the coffins. You can go look them up on YouTube. You can see them caging up old Walmarts and turning them into prisons and stuff. It's not that hard to find. It's all over YouTube and other places. BitChute. Go look it up. So, if you're not up to wake yet to what's going on, I don't know what else I have to tell you. Excuse me. You had a group of people that were looking to exterminate a larger portion of humanity using this virus and 5G, along with the chemtrails that they've been dumping on you for years. That was going to be the end game. And they could pick and choose who they wanted to kill and who they wanted to save. And whoever was left to be saved, well, you were going to be the slaves for them. So, if you can't see that yet, I'd suggest you look up Agenda 2020, Agenda 2030. And you could look up a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, just look what's going down in Cali. You think all those fires are just normal? I mean, they already caught 6 or 7 people setting them, right? In different parts. They're burning their state down because they have no money left. And they need the fucking emergency cash. So they'll kill their own citizens and burn their own state down to get it. That's who these people are. So, we're going to be removing all these people because they're not serving the people of their state. If you're burning down, if you're burning your fucking state down, right, in California, and you got people living in tents, block after block after block, I mean, you basically have an open air drug bazaar, right? That's just there. And hey, go live over here in a tent. You could stay right by your fucking drugstores. Why not? That's how you create a fucking slum. I mean, that's how you create a situation like that. You just stop enforcing certain rules. Like if you're caught with a certain amount of drugs, then you just get released. So if I'm a junkie and I got fucking 6 or 7 doses of heroin in my pocket, right? And I'm walking around and you pinch me and I get released, I'm not worried about it. Some of these guys been arrested 30 fucking times. Same thing, right? And they just keep releasing them. So if you keep doing that, that's what they call broken windows policing. If you stop the broken windows stuff and you just let people start pissing in the street and you don't stop it, and you let this guy set a tent up over here in front of my fucking business that I run, how am I supposed to make a living now? Who's going to want to come in my business if you're taking a dump outside it? Kind of obvious, right? So all these mayors, they're not, and that's happening in New York now too. I mean, there's certain parts where there's homeless encampments underneath the FDR Drive. Part one in Chelsea, I heard. It's probably more than that. So it's not the first time New York's seen that. Go look up Hoovertown. Back during the Depression, there were people living in Central Park in little huts that they would create out of garbage and wood. You can go back to that if you want. Look at Cali, you're almost there. So that's where we are, man. It's going to be an important election. Got to make up your mind on which way you think you want this country to go and the world to go. And I'm not a political person, man, but I can see the writing on the wall. It's pretty obvious. So maybe we'll have a fair election this year. We'll see. Anyway, I wish you well with your ascension. I hope it's going well for you. Very powerful energies. Just keep strong and centered in yourself and don't let all this craziness affect you because it's just a moment in time. It's going to pass and we're on our way to better days. I can feel it coming. So I don't know when the solar flash they're saying might come this year. We'll see. That a lot of people talking about December 21st. I don't know, but hey, let's go with the flow right now and let's keep the energy high. More and more people wake up, the illusion will just fade away at some point and the matrix will be gone once we all are awake. So with that, I hope you're well. I wish you peace and love and stay strong in your center. All right? Peace.